Welcome to our crypto spiritual energy update. My name is Jona Bryndis. I'm an energy healer and energy trainer, and I'm going to do something unusual for most of you. I'm going to reflect on how collective energies, so the collective energetic weather conditions, how they correlate with our crypto sphere, with the financial and cryptocurrency markets. And yes, this is a little bit of woo-woo, and if you think that this is a total BS, then just turn off now. Last week somebody called me the David Wolf of cryptocurrency. I'm not sure if this is a good thing or not, but quite frankly, if people are not into really wanting to see the larger picture or correlations here, then you shouldn't get upset by the things that I'm saying, simply because I'm not talking about causation. I'm talking about correlations, okay? And so let's just stay open and look at what these collective energies are for this coming week, how this played out last week, and what the overall situation is here. If you are familiar with me and transCODES, then you know that I do this for a living. I help people to navigate through these energy conditions in their personal lives as well as their businesses. And so the crypto spiritual update here is something that I've separated from the energy update simply because it was getting too long. And I want to take the time here today to do something that I would love to do every week from now on, and that is to cover a subject that you guys request. So I'm doing this live so you can ask questions here, but also I would love to see not only where you're from, but also what you would be interested in covering when it comes to like finances, cryptocurrencies, and energetic or spiritual aspects. Okay, so last week, Gerald suggested that I talk about when, because we have quite a few indicators right now that are sort of steering people into this panic zone. Okay, so the market volume, the market capitalization in the crypto world has gone down to under 300 billion. That's a bit of a psychological barrier there. We celebrated 6 months ago when it got over the 300 billion mark. So now it feels a little bit like regress. And if you look on YouTube or read some of the publications that are out there, you'll find that there are people talking about the death cross, okay? And I will explain this here as well. But first of all, let's look at the overall situation. So there's a general loss of interest in cryptocurrencies that we can observe. There's a rather negative sentiment right now. And remember, the cryptocurrency movement was primarily a grassroots movement until the end of last year, until December of last year, when some of the big futures trading institutions added Bitcoin futures to their betting system, if you will. And this is the moment when really awkward things started to happen in the market. So that's why a lot of conspiracists, of course, assume that this is because of market manipulation. And yes, there's a lot of indication that there is manipulation going on. But then again, there's also a lot of signs of healthy growth, namely governments and sort of public media outlets calling for regulations. And we've talked about this in the past. This is an important part of things balancing out. There are a lot of scams. There were a lot of scams. There still are, and something that we lovingly call shit coins. ICOs, initial coin offerings that really don't have a lot of value to them other than a hype or other than false promises. So these things need to be regulated. This is a normal part of a new development of sort of an emerging new system, just like as humans go through these different paths. So don't mistake these signs of regression and then consolidation and correction as the market is dead. No, on the contrary, you will hear me talk about this over and over again. What we can expect here from the crypto market in regards of performance, but also in regards to the overall change that it will bring to our society starting this year is enormous, is much, much bigger than most of us can imagine. And so it is, of course, then a little unthankful as a YouTuber, okay, to keep drumming and keep telling people, oh, it's only going to be another week or month or whatever till things are going to get better. Because this has been going on since February, actually the beginning of December already, but people are starting to get tired, and this is where the loss of interest comes from. And you've got to understand that this literally weeds out all the people that were really in for, making money overnight. So the greed part has been corrected, and this is healthy, all right, for a company or for a project or for a society. This is a healthy movement. So I want you to contextualize it in this way. All right. Now, does this mean that this justifies our losses? And does it mean that, well, why don't we just sell everything and come back later? Not necessarily. And I will explain why that is. But let's come back to some of the things that happened in the last week. Most of you've probably read this or heard this from me, maybe. Google and Facebook are now, so to Snapchat, don't allow ads for questionable ICOs anymore. There's, a lot of sort of restriction going on. And for those of us who are insecure and don't really understand the technological potential that is here with the cryptos, this seems like everybody's against cryptos and I better get out. And so they did just a little bit of toe dipping and then they got burned and got out. So we're living here with the frustration of by the way, one of these beautiful new words that are occurring here through the crypto movement, hodling, which means holding, holding your position. We know that when we started, that we did not get into become rich overnight. In fact, most of us don't even know how to securely trade, or we do, but we kind of don't want to, simply because maybe some of the fees are too expensive, and simply because we believe in the long-term perspective. And this is what hodling means. Stick with it, don't panic, wait this out. Personally here, this is a forecast and I don't do financial advice, obviously, but I can share my personal energetic sensation here and also the vision that I have. The April 14th till 18th will be very important times, and I'm getting ready for those. So everything that I do right now has to do with consolidating and making a plan, doing research as to what I want to buy and how I'm going to spread this out for the rest of the year, which is still probably one of the biggest increasing and exploding years for cryptocurrencies here that we're going to see. So ignore, the fickleness of these corporations such as Facebook and Google, who, as you know, are part of organizations that have monopolistic power here over social media and media altogether, and therefore cannot fully be trusted, as we've seen here last week with the scandal around the misuse of data through Facebook. I just made that sort of short comment last week and said I'm surprised people are surprised. I didn't mean this to be or to come across as sarcastic, but quite frankly, if you know just a little bit about how this whole sort of data business works here, then you fully understand that this is what the crypto movement is truly about. It is about who owns data, who owns transactions of data. And here I can only encourage you guys to claim this right, to claim the right to own your own data by supporting cryptocurrencies. This is how I see this, all right? And there are some companies who are actually actively working on the subject. So the currency aspect of some of these tokens, such as Bitcoin, which everybody kind of knows, or Litecoin, is secondary in my view. The reason why I'm so optimistic is because of what this technology allows. And those of you who observe the market a little bit in the news, they already know. While officially they denounce cryptocurrencies and make sort of the individual newbie investor like all of us here insecure, all the big corporations have tons of patents that they've asked for and preparing their own companies, including those big investment firms who, badmouth crypto still. They secretly all moving into cryptocurrency and blockchain technologies, guys. This should tell you a lot. Also, of course, the governments, we talked about this in the last couple of years. So what does this death cross that I mentioned earlier, that some of the YouTubers or analysts or observers here talk about? This has to do with chart analysis. So those of you who have a little bit of knowledge of chart analysis may know this. This is when the 50-day low meets with the 200-day low, and that kind of indicates, based on statistics, a sudden drop, a really bearish market. But as we've learned in the past, nothing in the crypto market actually works like the stock market, and if at all, then like I forgot who it was last week, in comparison to some of these momentums that occur in the stock market 5 times faster. So we may go through a little bit of a continued bear market here for the next 2 weeks. And bear means that the courses are going to go, the prices are going to go down. Bull means, that the prices are going to go up. It's the rising head of the bull. Just to explain that to you. And the thing that we keep observing here in the crypto market over and over is that there are no rules worldwide that are holding these cryptos, and therefore all we know that the only thing that is for sure is change. And one of the things that I see here in conjunction with collective energies, guys, is that we're going to look at a lot of surprises here within the next 2 weeks. Big surprises. And so today I want to talk about how to get ready for a massive, massive explosion, price explosion in the cryptocurrency market, because that's what I see starting the 2nd week of April. So 18th of April is my sort of last sort of down day here. And even if it's just a sideways movement until then, by the way, that's something I wanted to bring back into memory to all of us. Another reason why the crypto market does not really fully coincide with some of the statistics from the stock market chart analysis software is, we have people here that come out of the woodwork all of a sudden. We have trillions of dollars sitting on the sidelines just waiting to burst in. We have tons of new inventions. We have tons of governments and like so much change here, so many surprises, things that can come tomorrow and change everything. All right, this is the only thing we really know for sure, that there is no predictability. So most of us really have to remember that things that the stock market sees as volatility, for instance. I mean, for the stock market, a 5% volatility is humongous. All right, stock traders live off of 1.5 to 5%, or if at all 2.5% of increases and decreases. All right, we have seen increases in the 4-digit, in the 1,000% range here. Okay, so the thing that I wanted to remind you guys of is something that I showed last week as well here from the heat map, that regardless of a lot of the FUD and a lot of this negative sentiment here, we're still looking at Bitcoin being up 600% from last year. Ethereum, even though they've lost almost 60% of their value within the last 3-4 weeks, still up 650%. Guys, you gotta set this back into perspective and see that this is these 3-digit, 4-digit kinds of returns of investment. That's illusionary to expect this to happen every day. So yes, Gerald is commenting here, my first crypto winter. And it's been a long one and cold, yes. And it's been tough really to report about this because it's so much easier to be, like a drummer, when things are up and when we can talk about, which ICOs to invest in the next great opportunity. And it's really difficult to maintain, this sort of neutral stance. So this is really what everybody here needs to do, especially this coming week and probably also the week after that. I've just talked about this in the energy update, in the collective energy update, that's not specific to any particular market, but to all of our areas in life. It's the same thing. So we got to learn how to breathe through these things. And there are some, cool things that are, coming up here. There's an announcement that Coinbase made, and like me, if you don't like Coinbase that much, then ignore this. But they've announced that they may or will integrate ERC20 tokens here in the future. Wallet address, guys, of course, that is a scam. So while this is something to look forward to, the consolidation and also the decentralization of the exchanges, and a lot of the exchanges are now sort of reconsidering their position. Binance is moving to Malta. Bitfinex is thinking about moving to Switzerland. This is all part of healthy growth, okay? You reposition yourself and you look at, your stats. You look at, what's favorable, what allows you to grow, and you shed the things that don't, okay? So this is really the overall energy here. And what can we do in this week to work with this? Okay, so like in the energy update, I've talked about this the energy centers in our cells that are affected, and the research work that I'm doing here is trying to bring the affected chakras in conjunction with the overall crypto sentiment, because if the collective energy affects everybody, like say in their first chakra in their root chakra, which I found out is linked to losses or perceived losses and the fear of loss. Okay, it indicates to me that there is a time of heightened sell-offs. Okay, this is when people get really panicky. Okay, and this is a week now where this will probably play out. The first chakra is affected here and wants to move into the fourth chakra. So it wants to move into our heart, into our inner trust, into seeing, like where this is all going into the bigger picture. So we got to breathe through this. And instead of doing panic sells, and I'll go a little deeper into this here in a second when we talk about when to sell. To do research and to put yourself into a good position, to know what is the maximum of money that you can put in without experiencing, say, like a massive sort of drama in your life. Okay, so you should only put the amount of money into cryptos that you're willing to lose, just to basically keep yourself in the neutral zone, and then work with things such as know when you want to take them out again, so that you can realize your profits. Also know when your boundaries are as far as the losses is concerned. So make a plan here without becoming too rigid. But as I mentioned last week, one of the biggest issues in trading psychology is that a lot of people focus too much on when to buy and don't have a plan when to sell. So the selling is where the wealthy differentiates from the burned investor. Okay, and a famous trading icon said, that the stock market is where the transfer of wealth happens from the impatient to the patient trader. And therefore, my recommendation for you for this next week in particular, but probably also for the next 2 weeks, is, to use the other side of this movement right now, which is seeing the larger picture, the sixth chakra that is being active right now and that wants to move into expression into the fifth chakra. All right, and what this means, the fifth chakra, is that we need to do research. We need to find the integrity in all this. We need to find the things that resonate with us, the things that express, our values. All right, not just our dreams and hopes. This can be something that happens when there's a lot of seventh chakra activity, like we had in the last months. Where there's just sort of an undifferentiated dreaming. Or unrealistic expectations. No, the sixth chakra is the actual vision that you have and this inner prompting, like, yes, this is it, and it doesn't matter if it takes a year or 2 years, but, here I have a massive opportunity, to double, triple, or quadruple the money that I put in, which, quite frankly, there aren't any other opportunities at this very moment. Unless you want to start your own business. And I do do a lot of abundance coaching where I help people to integrate these energetic aspects into their businesses, and especially the integrity aspects, like, what is an integrous decision? Is this decision true to me? Is this business partner or this contract, is this integrous and has a consciousness level that is based on truth, or is this based on other intentions? So this is kind of like the essence of combining energy work with hands-on financial coaching. All right, so the main energy tip here for you create your own research, okay, and get your own boundaries straight and get your own goals straight. You may not be able to develop like a hands-on strategy, like trading strategies, like a portfolio manager, but you may be able to come up with things like where you say, okay, here is when I want to realize some of my profits. And here is when I'm going to sell, no matter what is happening. So let's look at when to sell. And please, guys, ask questions. Use this opportunity here live with me to ask when you don't understand things. And don't forget to smash the like button. Me too. I live off your guys' feedback, and so I need those likes. I need those subscriptions, to reach a larger audience. And also, retweet my tweets. Come to the Facebook group, Crypto Spiritual, and share my videos or like my videos. Okay, this all helps me. All right. So let's look at when to sell. I've mentioned the selling psychology. Okay, the reason why people have a hard time with selling is because they don't really plan this out. Okay, they just want to make money, and they see the prices rising, and they start feeling rich as the prices gain on momentum. And this is something why I recommend so many people, especially those of you who don't have a lot of resources, to work with cryptos, because it can help you to align to abundance. All right. And there are some choices that I have favored here, that I have done myself as well, which is becoming part of a mining pool or investment pool where you don't carry the whole risk of this, and where you get a certain amount of money every week, regardless of the current price. All right, so with mining, you can circumvent some of these fears, but I wouldn't completely put everything into mining. I would recommend for you to pick, like a diversification of at least 5 different coins that you're gonna sort of project for yourself here for the next year. Okay, there are some, of course, very positive, very optimistic projections for Bitcoin. For instance, I'm still planning on a 100K party for the end of this year. Okay, this may be unrealistic in lieu of what we're seeing right now, but I'm willing to give this a shot. Okay, because I see these big surprises coming. Let me grab a sip of water here. My 5th chakra is rebelling. All right, so the issue is that we don't really know when to sell. So first of all, the best way to the best time to sell is not now. Okay, this is the worst time to sell. When everything goes down, when the collective goes into panic, when there's a lot of FUD, a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. This is the worst time to sell. Okay, but you may argue, okay, well, but what if it goes lower? Yes, this is a possibility, and people talk about, if there are certain markers that are being crossed right now, then there's a likelihood that Bitcoin goes down to $6,000 or even $5,000. This is, of course, possible, but in the larger picture, it doesn't mean anything, because if you just look at the number of or the amount of buying pressure that is starting to be created here through the smart money moving in, and also a lot of people sort of having sold out of fear, they really all just waiting for a signal and to jump in. So you're going to see, maybe some prices that are going down now, but very shortly you're going to see huge jumps. Okay, so it's always best to just sit this out and not even go with all these ups and downs, and to just stay in there. So the reason why people get so panicked all of the sudden is usually because they've been repressing their fear of losing their investment for a while. They've hodled for a while, and then at some point, the tipping point, all this frustration and all the holding on to fear, and now there's like all their friends are telling them, hey, you're still in cryptos, haha. The tipping point is then when all the frustration of the past sort of comes in and gets projected on the current situation. So you need to avoid that from the get-go. That's why I said, make yourselves a plan. So the reason why people do panic sells is because of the overall sentiment. And that's something that, as much as I promote, keeping yourself informed, at the same time, you also need to find the balance between that, because if you watch every little micro movement of the market, it's very easy to get stressed out. So let's go back to the beginning. Why do we trade in the first place? Okay, one reason we've already covered is to potentially profit from this new emerging technology. And this is a very good reason, because whenever there's an innovative technologies arising, we have an opportunity here that may only be there every 20 or 30 years, like when the internet came in, when social media came in, and so forth, the future Googles and Facebooks and Microsoft and so forth. But there's also, the aspect of, just you really wanting to practice all of that, and to learn how to manage your money, learn how to manage your finances, especially if you were younger. There's a really cool aspect of self-mastery with trading, and especially cryptocurrencies, because they're scalable, which means you can trade, $5 if you so choose to. Another reason why it's recommendable to even consider trading here is that in the future, transactions are going to be more like that anyway, okay? And we'll even have things such as machine-to-machine transactions. I mean, we'll have transactions that are based on, like a current price of a currency. Or, such as, whatever this token is worth at that time. And so another good reason to trade is to practice neutrality, is to learn how to do these things, and to stay on top of all these things that are going on there. To learn how to use an exchange, to learn how to use your wallet, and so forth. I've said this many times, and I've done free webinars here to show the how-tos and the don'ts, and also, to show you some of the dangers of that. So you have to kind of face these fears and get into the place of neutrality. And my recommendation here is that you pick one currency that is relatively stable, like out of the top 10, top 20. And just do this sort of trading for the sake of trading, work with, when you want to take your profits out. Like, say, a healthy way to do this is to say, whenever, this coin or this token has reached like a 10% gain, that's when I sell it, and then I wait for the dip, when it goes back down again, and I buy it again. So the overall goal, of course, is to buy it for cheaper than you can sell it, all right? And to practice that, even with small amounts, okay? The transaction fees have gone down. It's no big deal anymore. And this is one of the ways how you can become more neutral about it. Because if you only do one transaction, you put all your retirement money or all your savings into one transaction, that's like putting all your chips on on one number in the casino, and that's not much different from gambling. All right, so this is not what I'm proposing here. What I'm proposing is to do educated choices, all right, and learn how these processes work. This will help you to prevent unnecessary losses, and it will help you to determine the right moment to sell. All right, and that's now, what we want to look at, namely, what are reasons to sell? Okay, so let's say you're a hodler like I am, but I do still sell from time to time. I have my a crypto list here that I've published in December for this year. It's like 15 cryptos that I hold. Some of them I hold for long term, so I'm not even touching them. In fact, I'm not even looking at them. And some of them I bought for speculative purposes, like for speculation. All right, there's a strong movement towards currencies such as Litecoin, maybe Bitcoin Cash, which I do not own and will never own. It does not resonate as integrous for me. Same with Ripple. But there are moments where I buy and where I sell Litecoin, and that is when I feel, these waves building. Okay, so Litecoin is one of those coins that I have sold and bought, traded the most here in the last 6 months. And I had a pretty good success rate with doing that, simply because I've watched the overall sentiment and used sort of the speculative or the hype aspect of. So this can be a way how you can look at your selling intention is to try to sell at the lowest and then just wait a little bit when the price rises again, and then you buy again as, sort of your plan or your strategy. Another way to go about the selling is, of course, to set a date, say, okay, just like how you would maybe with another investment, I buy this and I'm going to hold this till the 31st of December 2018, and that's when I'm selling that, just by date. This is a good way to stay neutral, because then you don't really need to look at sort of what you are, what is going on in the market. Professional investors do that. They make a contract for an investment and say, okay, this is an investment for the next 2 or 3 or 5 years. And this is it. I'm going to look at it, maybe every month or every quarter just to make sure that it's not going downhill, but that's it. So the right moments to sell for someone who is date oriented, are, right around those dates, but, just keeping an eye on the overall market sentiment, so that you don't miss out on the major news. For those of you who go with the trends, and know how to do day trading, I don't need to tell you when to sell, but you still have the same issues like everybody else. You'll tend to sell more when there is a panic going on, when your friends are telling you, you gotta sell, and so forth. And one more time here, you gotta stay in this neutrality zone. And the best way to do this is to work with stop losses. So you create a sort of a lowest barrier. Like when the price of this coin hits this barrier, I'm going to sell. And when the price hits a certain other barrier, I'm going to buy. This is how most professional traders do it. And that's why we look at a chart analysis, because there is sort of a common understanding of that. And most traders actually come up with the same barriers. Most of these barriers are actually psychological, such as $10,000 for Bitcoin. All right, so there's a hype that can come in with some of these stop losses through the software that people use, the chart analysis software, and also the trading software. And don't underestimate that. That trading software does automatic selling for you. This is why these programs are so popular, because they help you to make that choice. Okay, you not actually have to sit there and go through your cringe when you sell your nice investment. No, the software does that for you when you work with stop losses. And a lot of people use same parameters. So there are psychological barriers and certain sort of benchmarks that all trading software automatically does for people. So we do see these hypes at certain barriers. So when we talk about Bitcoin going below 6,000 is a big psychological barrier for some reason, and also a lot of the analysis software puts that up as a projected sort of supporting line. So you see what I'm saying here. This is all going into the direction of neutrality. And if you do regular trading, then you can also notice that, because you're doing sort of this ongoing research, you don't really feel that there are a lot of unknowns. You feel confident, and it helps you to foresee certain things, and it helps you to stay neutral. But the best way to sell, or the best time to sell, depending on the strategy that you have, is the time that you either get the really, really strong prompting from within. This is how I sell, and there's actually research that shows that people who use their intuition do 26% a certain price or at a certain time. The worst time to sell is when you're afraid that you could lose your investment, and when you go into this this panic selling, especially when everybody else is doing it as well. So at this point, I do not recommend you guys to sell, because there's a panic or sell-off possible right now. So, but this is no financial advice, of course. Trust your inner prompting. I'm hodling, and I'm getting ready to buy into big positions here in 2 weeks from now. And I hope that I will be able to talk about what these positions are, so that you guys sort of can benefit from that as well as I did in the past. Please let me know if you would like to talk about a specific subject next time in the commentary here. And you can ask things about specific companies. This is what a lot of people do here. They ask me if a certain token or a certain company feels integrous from the energetic point of view. This is what the crypto spirit does for us. So please don't shy away from making suggestions or asking questions. I'd love to talk about the subjects that you are interested in. Thank you, everybody. Hope to see you here next week, same time, after the collective energy update on what is the date going to be here next Thursday, April the 5th, 2018. All the best to you guys. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.